Are you ready to expand your life and reality? Join us for the next hour with Jamie Bates as she shares life-changing thoughts, techniques, and awarenesses to help you expand your reality.
Hello and welcome. I am Jamie Bates, consciousness facilitator and expander of realities. My mission with my radio show is to create greater awareness of what is possible and to expand you beyond the limitations of this reality. I am grateful that you're joining me today. And today let's talk about hiding. I want to talk about smoke screens. Specifically, maybe potentially the addictions that we use to hide ourselves. When I say smoke screens, obviously I'm talking about smoking, right? Uh, Recently, I have had quite a few people message me about, especially I think probably because it's the new year, right? People want to stop smoking. They want to give up their addiction to alcohol, but really want to talk today about using things like drugs or alcohol to hide who you are from the world and mask your true self. So today we're going to talk about hiding, and we're going to talk about kind of the awarenesses I had to have in order for myself to even really stop hiding me. And let me tell you, I know that there's still some places I definitely still hide, definitely 100%, but I have taken a lot of proactive forward motion. I'm more on hiding now than I ever have been in my whole life. And I want to talk about, me myself, when I went through my awakening, uh, I went through a period where, I smoked. And I want to talk about that. And even, it's not something I ever really generally talk about because I think there's a lot of shame around smoking, right? Isn't it interesting that when you smoke, it provides this like smoke screen around you, right? And and most of us that smoke, we hide the fact that we even smoke because we don't want people to have points of views about it. And I know for myself, I hid my smoking addiction from everybody. I smoked for, I was trying to figure it out. I don't really know exactly what year I quit. I want to say it was 2013-ish, but um, I could be wrong. But basically, I got to a certain point in my awareness where I just said, okay, I'm done. And I just literally quit smoking. Now, at that point, I had been smoking for over 20 years. Um, I personally started smoking. I grew up in a very small town. We had a corner store down the road from the house I actually moved into when I was 10. There was a little corner store on the corner, and my one of my friends at the time, her mom smoked, and so in fifth grade, I was 10 years old. We started stealing cigarettes from her. I'm sure she probably, my friend at the time, invited me into smoking. I didn't, my parents didn't smoke, or my mom didn't smoke, and my mom had just recently remarried. He didn't smoke, but nobody was ever home, so there was nobody watching me, right? And she said, let's smoke, and so we started smoking cigarettes and marijuana at that time. And um, then we started walking down to the corner store, taking a little note, quote unquote, taking cans down, buying cigarettes, right? Because those were the days where you didn't have to, you could take a little note that said, hey, let my child buy cigarettes, and you could. I remember in junior high, at one point, my mom had found cigarettes in my backpack and she asked me if I was smoking. And I said, no, I was holding them for a friend. And she said, oh, never questioned about it again. And then I want to say I was in high school, and I had cigarettes in my car, and she questioned me about it, and I kind of said the same thing, and she was like, oh. And from there, I just continued to smoke. I smoked all through my 20s, and into my 30s. Again, I don't exactly remember when I stopped smoking, but smoking was a big part of my life. It was a big part of how I um, kept myself hidden from the world, right? It was how I decompressed really from, I think, my own inner awareness of um, of what I was aware of. And that's really kind of what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how essentially we use these things we're addicted to, like smoking and alcohol, to truly escape this reality, right? Because what happens when you smoke? Like it does all kinds of weird things to your body, right? Shuts off your awareness, creates a fog inside your body. When I decided to quit smoking, I was actually sitting in the garage and I had this awareness, and I remember thinking to myself, I remember before I had kids and I used to smoke, I always thought, oh, when I have children, I won't smoke anymore. Well, I smoked. And I want to say my youngest daughter, I can't remember how old she was, but I remember she came out into the garage where I was smoking and she said, hey, when you're done with that cigarette, will you blah, 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 blah. And I remember this like massive energy hit me and go, oh my gosh, I promised to myself that when my kids were little or when I had children as a whole, I would not be the parent outside smoking. That would not be me. I would not be smoking around my kids. I never smoked inside my house. I never smoked with my kids in the car. I would smoke outside, or in the winter, I would smoke in the garage. Not that that was probably much better, because especially when I smoked in the garage, cigarette smoke was still coming into the house, right? But it hit me in this awareness of like, oh my gosh, I heard the words come out of my daughter's mouth. And it was kind of the first time where it was like, okay, this has to stop. And when I put that cigarette out, that was my last cigarette. That was the last time I ever had a cigarette after that. And again, it wasn't, I didn't really celebrate it. I just said, okay, I'm done. And I just chose it. Breathe that through for a moment. Everything that doesn't allow that for you. Yeah, and all of that, 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 everything, all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. I'm just going to pull this through and untangle it for a moment here. Give you some more space. I think when you fully understand that you are awareness of information, you are not the feeling behind it, everything changes. Now bear with me here for a moment, because the thing is you are aware. You always have been. Okay? This world has been built upon unawareness. Now, that's changing, right? Because the unconscious paradigms are falling. We've been feeling it. This year, things are no longer going to be able to be hidden anymore. So if you've been smoking because you've been hiding yourself, been hiding what you're aware of, the veils are so thin right now, you cannot hide any longer. Okay, which is why I know I actually have had, just in the past 24 hours, I had somebody reach out to me yesterday and she was sharing with me how she was quitting smoking, and it had been over 30 years, right, since she'd been smoking. And like now she finally feels like she has the space to do it after listening to so much clearing audios. And again, that's kind of like key here. Because the thing is you have always been awareness of information. Always. I'm going to say that again. You have always been awareness of information. Now, we grew up. We've lived prior to now, prior to 2012. We've lived in a completely unconscious world that was built upon an unconscious matrix reality that was unwilling to acknowledge how very aware and how much you knew, and how very brilliant and wonderful and amazing you were. And when you tried to speak that awareness or that brilliance to the world from a very young age, you were shut down. You weren't acknowledged. which created that inner sense of feeling wrong and even thinking that what you were aware of must be yours. Right? Well, I'm feeling angry, so I must just be an angry child, right? Or you're feeling angry as a child and somebody says, why are you so angry? You don't know. You're just overwhelmed, or you're just perceiving somebody else's anger. Nobody told you that you were feeling somebody else's emotion. Everything, all of that is. And all of that, 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 everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes, and can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. And now the world veil is thinning. Things can't hide anymore. The matrix system is falling. And all of these old paradigms of unconsciousness that we used to hide behind are becoming obsolete. So you can't hide behind the unconscious energy anymore. This is the year that everything is going to be seen. There will be no more hiding. I know that might feel a little bit scary, right? Because one of the things that you have done is you have always internalized all of that wrongness that you've been aware of as you're a bad person, or you're bad and wrong, or you're this and you're that, when in all actuality, that's not true. You are just, or you have just internalized so much information that isn't yours, and potentially you got blamed and shamed and got made feel really, or somebody made you feel really guilty or bad or wrong, or people blamed you for being the energy that you were aware of. Again, I'll go to being aware of anger, internalizing it as your own anger, and playing in the anger, people saying, oh, you're so angry, you're so mean, you're so this, you're so that, right? But you're not anger. Recently, I had an email from somebody, and they sent me this email, and when I opened it, I could feel the intensity of anger. And I started investigating the situation that they had emailed me about. And I could feel the anger and rage just building inside my being. So I stopped, because I know I'm not anger. And I questioned, what am I truly aware of here? And all of a sudden, all of this information came through. Oh, the person that sent me the email is angry. Most of this person's life is built around anger constructs, which probably isn't even theirs at the core of it either. But as soon as I acknowledged that, I'm just perceiving their anger, I don't have to jump in and swim in it too. But I'm very good at knowing that now, because I'm not anger. I don't have any reason to be angry. Life is fun and magical and easy. It's not angry for me. So as soon as I perceive those emotions now, it's easy to be able to identify and just allow myself the awareness of what's real and true, which is, this anger that I'm perceiving isn't mine. Came through the email. It's all good. I don't have to swim in it. I don't have to identify with it. I don't even have to do anything with it. I just get to be me. And then there's those places inside of us where, when we feel the projection of, let's say, anger, we'll use anger because most of us grew up in the projection of anger, right? And it triggers all the places where, oh, I must have done this to make them angry, or I must have done that to make them angry, or I must have, been this to make them angry. Instead of just being able to acknowledge that, no, that anger is not mine. The projection of anger is not mine. I have no storage space any longer, of being attached to feeling guilty or bad because someone else is angry. And when you get to that space of freedom, you realize that there's no reason for you to hide any longer. You hide because you had to hide to survive. You hide because it wasn't okay to be you. It wasn't okay to know what you knew. It wasn't okay to acknowledge what you've seen and felt and heard. It wasn't okay to just exist in this reality. And that's why you developed addictions that keep you hidden. Breathe that through for a moment. Everything, all of that is. And all of that, 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 everything, all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. I know you. I know you're a good person. And all you truly, really desire is life to be easy, for you to have some joy and some ease, right? For everything not to be a struggle. And to make the difference that you desire to make in this world, whatever that is. I know that you are kind and caring and aware of everyone and everything. And I know how hard it has been to exist in that awareness of you. Because truth be told, your family didn't want to know things. They wanted to keep everything secret and hidden. They didn't want you to acknowledge that Grandpa Joe was a creepy man, right? They didn't want you to acknowledge the bad, terrible, awful secrets that were hidden within the family. Nobody wanted you to point out that someone was abusing someone else. No one wanted you to bring to the surface how unkind some of the family members were in your life. No one wanted you to acknowledge the abuse that was going on in plain sight. Just pretend like you don't see it. Don't say it out loud. That's not nice. I can't even tell you how many times in my childhood somebody said to me, "Don't say that. That's not nice." And I used to always think, how is saying what's going on not nice? I never could get that. Like I had an uncle who was really mean and he was always mad and angry, and he'd come in the house and he'd throw shit around and didn't mean to swear there. He'd throw crap around and he'd yell and scream. He'd get really drunk, right? And every single time he would get really drunk, and then he would say mean things. He would, and if you've heard this before, I just was talking about it not long ago. He threatened me. I was like 10 years old. That was around the same time I started smoking. Actually, it was probably because it was Christmas time. It was Christmas time when I started smoking. I'll never forget, because we hid in the back room of my friend's house to hide after we had stolen some cigarettes from her mom. Right? It was cold. It's kind of like a utility room. It wasn't like quite warm in there. We hid back there and smoked cigarettes. And at that Christmas party, my uncle was drunk and we were playing cards, and he threatened to kill me because I beat him. And he screamed and yelled and flipped the table over and made a big scene. And It was terrible. And I wasn't allowed to acknowledge any of it. I was laughed at and made wrong. Well, you probably shouldn't do that. Because as a 10-year-old, it was my fault. Everywhere that's happened to you, everywhere someone did that to you and perpetrated that cycle on you and made you feel wrong, when unkindness was perpetrated in your life, everything, all of that is. And all of that, 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 everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universe's ink? We just choose that now. And vaporize, 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 vaporize. And then you started hiding your awareness and you started unacknowledging what you were previously acknowledging, and it was too hard to be present in this reality. So of course you picked up things like smoking and drinking because, number one, gosh, are those an acceptable way to escape this reality? Right? Drinking is an acceptable way to escape this reality, even though if you do it and get in your car, you're going to jail. Isn't that so weird? It's like you can drive to the bar all day long, but don't drink one drink and then get in your car and drive home. Go right to jail. Now, I quit drinking. I was a heavy drinker, I'm sure. Probably like maybe you used to be, or maybe you're even still a heavy drinker. I used to be a heavy, heavy drinker. I used to drink every chance I got. And I grew up in Flint, Michigan, right on the outskirts of Flint, Michigan, actually. But when I was 17 years old, I actually bought a home in Flint, Michigan. I lived on the east side of Flint. My grandma was the real estate agent at the time, and she helped me buy a home because I had moved out of my parents' house, and she didn't want me to pay rent. So she helped me purchase a home. I purchased a home for $26,000. My house payment was $260 a month. And in Flint, Michigan at the time, growing up, now this was in the 90s, dating myself here, there was all kinds of bars downtown Flint that you could easily drive to, go to. And because I owned my own house, my house was definitely the party house, right? All my friends came over, we partied, we'd drink, and then we'd drive to the bar, right? And although we weren't 21, it didn't matter. None of the bouncers around there cared. We'd go in and drink, and drink some more, and then get in the car and drive back home. And I was actually, I quit drinking when my oldest daughter was less than 2 years old. I was still kind of fast and furious with the drinking and the blacking out and all of that. And I actually went to a party with one of my girlfriends, and um, we were drinking, and she was drinking liquor. And when she would drink liquor, she would get really mean. And I never really, I don't think alcohol really ever made me mean, because when I drank with a purpose. I drank to black out. Basically, that was my life. I drank to black out. I didn't drink to get drunk. I would hit it hard until I basically passed out. And we had went to a party, and it was weird there. And I remember I was at this point, I had a daughter, and I was already feeling like I wasn't drinking as often as I used to drink. And my points of views about drinking were already changing, I think, at that point. And so I had had a couple drinks, and we had gotten in the car, and we were driving to my girlfriend's house. And my girlfriend her boyfriend was in the car, and he was actually driving, and she started yelling at him about uh, some girls he was talking to at the party or something. I don't remember exactly what they started fighting about. And she was so drunk. And she started kicking him in the head while he was driving down the expressway. And I remember the fear that came over my body and how scared I was that we were going to get into a car accident. All I could think about was, my daughter is not going to have a mom. This is going to work. This is the end of all of us. And I'm going to leave my poor, daughter without a mom. And that changed my life. And that was when I quit drinking. That was when I decided I didn't want to drink anymore. I didn't want to be around people who drank. I just didn't want any part of it. And so that was when I made the official decision to stop drinking. And that I never drank after that. And it's kind of been one of those things for me where drinking has never, ever again, ever felt like it's anything I want to do. I know that I guess I can't say I've completely stopped drinking because there has been times since then. Obviously, it's been like over 20 years where I've had potentially the start of a drink or I've ordered a drink and I have a drink of it and go, no, I'm good. Because there's nothing about that feels pleasing to me. Today I want to invite you into that same reality. What is everything that you keep doing around alcohol that is keeping your body from feeling good? Everything all of that is. And all of that, there's something about the energy of pleasing in there. It's almost like alcohol doesn't feel pleasing in your body. It doesn't feel good in your body. It doesn't feel, and I know people will say, oh, well, a glass of wine helps me relax. That right there. And maybe it does. Maybe a glass of wine does help you relax, but what is that pleasing aspect in there around alcohol that you keep perpetrating, generating, creating in your own body? Everything, all of that is, yeah, that right there, that's the line I want. Everything, all of that is. And all of that, everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes, and can we just choose that now? And vaporize. What are you hiding from? That right there. Ooh, and all of that, everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes, and can we just choose that now? Vaporize. Who are you hiding from? And that right there, and everything, all of that is. And all of that, everything, all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes, and can we just choose that now? Vaporize. Just vortex this out here for a moment here and just give yourself some new space. The thing is you weren't allowed to show up as you. You weren't allowed to know. Let's just put it this way. This reality did not support consciousness and awareness when you were growing up. Prior to 2012, consciousness and awareness was not supported in this reality. It's kind of like if you're a business owner, or even if you've ever had a computer, right? And you try to download something and it says, this can't be supported on your computer, and you just can't do it. And you're like, why can't I just do this? Right? It's kind of like that. Consciousness and awareness was not supported before 2012. Now, from 2012 until December 21st of 2021 was the deconstruction of the matrix system, right? Now we're still dealing with the rest of the fallout, but the bottom has fallen out. Now today is actually January 5th, 2022. If you're listening live, if you're not, if you're listening later, that's okay too. But essentially The system has bottomed out. Okay, the veils are thinning. The truth is becoming revealed. Right now, you are feeling the pull to stop hiding, because what you have been hiding from, who you have been hiding from, all of the systems and structures that have been implanted to keep you hidden are being removed. Look at how many lifetimes this reality has punished you for being you. You no longer have to hide, because now we are dancing in the new earth where consciousness will win. Awareness will be revealed. And you get to be you now. Breathe that through for a moment. What are you hiding from? That right there. And all of that, 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 all of that. Everything all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. Who are you hiding from? That right there, and everything all of that is, and all of that, 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 everything all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? Vaporize, 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 vaporize. I know you're feeling the pull right now to be something different. I know you're feeling that inner yearning, like it's time, right? Because it is time. It's time to start being you. I know that there has probably been much of this lifetime where you haven't been received for you, right? And so it feels like you don't maybe even really know who you are yet. I remember feeling that. I remember feeling like I don't know who I am. I don't know whose life I'm living. If you've probably heard me tell this story about when I was going through my awakening and I woke up one day and I had this, like, I think I had heard somebody say it, but I couldn't get the thought out of my head. Whose life am I living anyway? Whose life is this? I looked around at my life, and a majority of my life it's not really what I wanted. It's what I had because it's what I thought I had to have. It's who I was because it's who I thought I had to be. I think one of the most beautiful things about awakening is looking around at your life and realizing that there's a lot of your life that you have built around choices that you thought you had to choose. I just recently finished up a year-long heal program. There was a person in that program in particular who really, really her awakening one day was very profound. And when she said, she was telling me, sharing with me how she had woke up one day and realized that the career she was doing, she had been doing for 20 plus years, she didn't even like. She never had liked. She'd spent her whole life dedicated to doing something that she thought she had to do because there was a whole line of, was a civil servant of some sort. I won't say exactly, but basically she was a civil servant of some sort. And her whole family had been these civil servants, right? And so, growing up, it was like, this is who I'm going to be, right? She made that decision. This is who I'm going to be because this is who, everybody in my family is. We have this line of people who are all this thing. So that's what I have to be. And then as a teenager, that's what she had to be. And she went away and did it. And, 20 some years later, waking up and realizing, whoa, I never even wanted this. This isn't me. It's who I thought I had to be. And when you wake up and you realize that, it's the most liberating feeling because then you get to decide. And there's the untangling process, right? And I know it's a lot of work to untangle yourself from who you have been. You get to flow in the possibilities of who you want to be. And this is what we're doing this year. We're going to flow into the possibilities of who we want to be. We're going to allow ourselves to uncover ourselves from all of these projections and expectations of being someone we're not. Releasing ourselves from the points of views and the energies that have been keeping ourselves hidden. Because this year is the year that we come out of hiding. The new earth is here and it's asking to be built. It's asking for you to contribute the energy of who you be. If you have a yearning to create something, it's because you have the capacity to be it. Breathe that through. So I know many of you, especially the avid listeners of the show, are change agents yourself. You're a change agent just like me. That means we came here to help create change on this planet, right? Now, many of us, we didn't really know how to do it. And again, we didn't even have the resources to do it before now because the world's been asleep. Now the world's waking up. Now we're feeling this urge building inside of us and going, gosh, I'm ready to be the change I came here to be. This year, actually, in just 1 month from today, I am going to be teaching a 10-week facilitators course. You want to learn how to be a consciousness facilitator? You want to learn how to dance with energies in the way that I dance with energies? You want to learn how to bring about consciousness and awareness in those around you? Actually, you can go to my consciousempath.com and you can find the facilitators program there on the page, and you can register for the wait list. I am super excited. I feel like this is probably going to be the new course that I'm going to be repeatedly teaching because I know that there are so many of us waking up. In my opinion, being a consciousness facilitator is totally next level because we've had the paradigms of healers, and I'm not saying that we're not a healer because we're definitely a healer. I was a healer. I did Reiki and massage and all of the healing. Consciousness facilitating is next level because what you are doing is you are allowing yourself to get into somebody's field, which you're already aware of. You are a consciousness facilitator. You are facilitating energy within people's bodies. You just aren't really aware of that yet. And maybe you're starting to become aware of that. And if you are, this course is for you. And even if you're not, and you're thinking, I just want to do it, this course is for you as well. Again, go to consciousempath.com, sign up for the waitlist. I am so excited to be launching this consciousness facilitators course. I cannot wait to teach you how to dance with people's energy, space, and consciousness. And in the process, the thing is in the process of understanding consciousness facilitation, and we're going to be practicing. So this class is 10 weeks. You are going to be practicing with people in the group. So you're going to be trading facilitation with other people in the group, which is going to expand you in so many different ways because number one, you're going to be getting consciousness facilitation done by somebody else. And the thing is you don't have to know how to do consciousness facilitation to do consciousness facilitation. You just have to follow my step-by-step process. Okay, so I'm going to give you a step-by-step process. And I'm going to teach you when to use certain clearings, how to use certain clearings, when you're aware of certain energies, what you should do about them. I'm going to teach you how, when something feels really stuck in the field, how to move it, how to shift it, how to change it. And through that awareness of information, not only are you going to be getting consciousness facilitation by someone else who is learning, the thing is it doesn't matter if someone's learning. You are still going to get change. Being a consciousness facilitator is the greatest gift I have ever given myself. And it is the most expansion I have ever been able to offer other people. I have been a healer. I mean, if you're listening to the show recently, or if you've been listening to this show often, you know that I have been a psychic since my teens. I started as a psychic reader. I transitioned into a massage therapist, well, actually Reiki, and then massage therapist. I've done pretty much every healing modality that I could ever find. I've done the shaman stuff. I've done all of it that I could get my hands on. I've been in the gosh, what was the I've done the sweat lodges. I've done Native American rituals. I've done all kinds of things. Stepping into myself as a consciousness facilitator was the greatest gift I ever gave myself. Understanding how to facilitate energy and awareness is the greatest gift. So if you're interested, go to consciousempath.com, sign up for the waitlist. Let's do this. Let's stop hiding. Let's become who we came here to be. Let's make change in this world. Let's help create the new earth. And the best part about becoming a consciousness facilitator is then you can actually join the Conscious Empath tribe as well. And I'm going to make a facilitators page. And so eventually I'll have this page where you can go, or people who listen to the show, over 200,000 fans on my Facebook page. People can go to the consciousempath.com and they can find facilitators who have trained with me to be a consciousness facilitator. You know, in my opinion, we all have a different specialty. We all know something different. So I do see this going to be breaking up into different categories. Like if you're dealing with, multiple issues of disease in the body, there is going to be a consciousness facilitator. And if it's you, take the class. There's going to be a consciousness facilitator who specializes in breaking down diseases in the body. I see that there is going to be a consciousness facilitator who specializes in, changing negative self-talk. There's going to be a consciousness facilitator who specializes in addiction, recovery, right? I see all of these different consciousness facilitators that are all part of the Conscious Empath team who are bringing consciousness and awareness to the world on a greater scale than we have ever had it before. So I am super duper excited. I hope that you will be joining us on this first Consciousness Facilitators course. And if you're listening to this way later, you can still go sign up for the waitlist. You can join the next class. So thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope that I gave you some insight and some awareness on hiding, and some knowing that now is the time to wake up. It's time to be you. Thank you so much for listening to me today, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.
You have been listening to Expand Your Reality with your host, Jamie Bates. Thank you for listening.